Lord Singer of Bletsoe.
My Lords, is the Noble Lord the Minister aware that last week the Zimbabwe Cabinet signed off on the Patriot Bill, which would make it a criminal offence for anyone to criticise President Mnangagwa and for any member of the opposition to speak to any foreign government in a negative way about South Africa? At a time that Zimbabwe is considering rejoining the Commonwealth, can the Minister make it clear that our government will only support this when the rule of law is restored, with freedom of speech and political freedoms are protected?
The Noble Lord has articulated the position of Her Majesty's Government very well, and those principles will apply.
My Lords, can the Noble Lord the Minister outline what discussions ministers have had with their Commonwealth counterparts about the continuing political repression in Zimbabwe, and about the need to build local economies and political democracy?
My Lords, we continue to engage with Commonwealth partners on the range of issues concerning human rights, specifically on the point of Zimbabwe rejoining the Commonwealth. We are clear that we would only support readmission to the Commonwealth if Zimbabwe meets the admission requirements, and we continue to articulate that in terms of fundamental human rights to our Commonwealth partners as well.
Annas Hoy.
My Lord, Zimbabwe will only become a democracy when the people have a genuinely free and fair election. We have seen that recently in Zambia, and I wonder, could the Minister go further and actually say what more could be done to get Zambia and other countries within SADC to actually put the pressure on Zimbabwe? It's got to come from those countries. We can help, but we must make sure that they do their bit so we get back to a situation where the people of Zimbabwe genuinely have a free and fair election in 2023.
My Lords, I agree with the Noble Lady, and the Noble Lady is quite right to say that the importance of SADC and indeed other organisations, and more broadly the AU, have a key role to play, and they must lead on these discussions. My Lords, the UK remains concerned about the political situation in Zimbabwe. We regularly urge the Zimbabwean government to live up to their own constitution by ensuring the opposition, civil society and journalists are allowed to operate without harassment and due legal process is respected. The Minister for Africa reinforced these messages when she met President Mnangagwa on the 1st of November. Our embassy is also in touch with Mr. Harishivi's lawyers as we await the outcome of his appeal.
I'm grateful to the Minister for his reply, yet despite the government's efforts, MDC youth leader Mako Harazire remains incarcerated and political and human rights situation in Zimbabwe continues to deteriorate. In light of this, does the government agree that regional leaders have a critical role to play in encouraging the Zimbabwean government to respect human rights and the rule of law? And can he tell the House what discussions the government has had at ministerial level with the government of South Africa and the newly elected Zambian government in this regard?
My Lords, firstly pay tribute to the Noble Lord's role on the APPG, and he is of course right that it's important that regional governments have a role to play. In this regard, we have engaged directly at the highest level with the South African government, and we also continue to engage with other regional partners as well as regional associations, including the African Union, on this priority.
Virtual contribution, Lord Jones of Cheltenham.
What representations have ministers made to the Zimbabwe government about the continued suspension of by-elections in Zimbabwe? Several dozen are outstanding.
My Lords, my honourable friend Vicky Ford had various points of discussion on the broader human rights agenda with the President, and we continue to engage in capital on the issues the Noble Lord raises.
Lord Collins of Highbury.
My Lords, the simple fact is that the messages from the UK government are not being heard by the Zimbabwean government, and certainly not being acted upon. Just over a year ago, I raised with the Minister the government's strategy for working with civil society groups in Zimbabwe to defend human rights. I specifically asked whether the Foreign Office would work with the TUC and its international affiliates to ensure that we support workers who are organised in Zimbabwe to defend their own human rights. The Minister at the time, Baroness Sugg, outlined the support we were giving to civil society groups, and she also promised to follow through on meeting with the TUC. Can the Noble Lord the Minister tell us, has that meeting taken place? and what the outcome is, and what support are we giving to those sorts of civil society groups in Zimbabwe?
My Lords, on the specific meeting of the TUC, I don't believe with the TUC directly that took place. We certainly have been meeting in Harare with various unions, including teaching unions, including most recently in September 2021 on the issues of salaries and the impact of COVID-19. Trade unions form a important part of civil society in any country, and we engage with them at all levels.
Lord Purvis with tweet.
In response to the last element of what the Minister indicated, Zimbabwean press promoted the fact that President Mnangagwa had met our Prime Minister and the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth in Glasgow at COP26. As the Minister is also the Minister of the Commonwealth, are we making clear that whilst we would want the Commonwealth to be inclusive and open to Zimbabwe being a member, the conditions of there being a free and fair political system, the restoration of the 2013 Constitution and the rule of law restored are essential criteria for membership rejoining the Commonwealth?
My Lords, I totally agree with the Noble Lord, and those points are being made. In terms of the COP itself and to the engagement, it was the Minister for Africa, my honourable friend Vicky Ford, who met with the President of Zimbabwe.
My Lords, the US Embassy in Zimbabwe has issued some devastating reports on conditions in prison in Zimbabwe, including ill treatment of activists, violence against women, rape. Does the UK Embassy confirm these reports? And could he also confirm the continuing harassment of Hopewell Chinono, who is a highly respected figure, as reported by the American Bar Association?
My Lords, on the Noble Earl's final point on the case, Mr. Chinono, yes, we are very much engaged on that particular case. On the issue of the report that he referred to, I haven't seen the details of that report, so if I may, I'll write to the Noble Earl in that respect.
The President also spoke about his meeting with the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
So, the Right Honourable Prime Minister hana kumbotanda vazaruvoko chete akanyemwerera ndopandakazotanda zagwangu makazviona ndopokutanga apo tikafarirana. Boris Johnson achatumira minista wake kuno